Welcome to PR Electronics. Today I'm going to talk to you about our application PPS. PPS is an application you can download for your smart devices, either Apple iOS or Android-based smart devices. The application can establish communication between your smart device and a 4512 communication enabler. The 4512 communication enabler enables you to program and manage your 4000 and 9000 series devices. PPS and 4512 communicates via Bluetooth. The range of Bluetooth communication is limited by the standard. Thus you have to be within a few meters to establish a stable communication. Security-wise, you can select to have two-factor authentication. That means you have to acknowledge the communication on your physical communication enabler hosted by the 4000 or 9000 series devices. Furthermore, you can still use the password option you find on all 4000 and 9000 series devices. Within the PPS application, you have various options to support you setting up your device. Let me show you how easy it is to use your PPS application with your 4512. Let's assume we want to configure a freezer application. We want to measure temperature and create an alarm for high temperature levels. Starting the PPS application, we will scan for devices in the vicinity of the PPS application. And the 4116 appears as 4116 Demo 2 here. I'll connect my 4116. That is also confirmed on the display of the 4512 by rapid blinking that I have connected to the right device. Now I see my PPS main monitor screen, and on the right hand I have a summary of my current configuration, and on the upper left hand I have live process values and the 5 tabs for further actions. Let's configure the RTD sensor input. I have connected a PT100 4-wire sensor, and on the display I want to have temperature 1 as my tag and degrees Celsius as preferred. I want to configure my relay for -5 degrees, a set point, and a hysteresis of 0.2 degrees. That should be fine. Relay 2, I want to be configured as off. My output, I want my range to be reflected on the output as between -25 degrees and 50 degrees plus. When you're done with your configuration, you send your configuration to the 4116 and confirm your configuration. And now we are done with our configuration. We now have a summary of our correct configuration on the right, and we can see updated process values. There's currently 26 degrees ambient temperature here. And I see now also live overview of process values and relay status at the bottom of my PPS monitor screen. Now we are done with configuration. We have the live process value in the upper left hand corner reading 24.1 degrees Celsius. Now we want to test if the alarm works correct and the output signal is correct for the connected SCADA system. But the cooling people are not yet ready, so we have to simulate the room temperature. The RTD reads correct right now, room temperature, so assuming the wiring is correct, we will simulate the process value and observe the alarm status. So selecting simulate, put in minus 10 degrees. That should put off the alarm. Right now we are simulating indicated by the yellow bar, and the relay went off. We can see that in the upper left hand corner of the live process values. The simulation feature is great for troubleshooting and commissioning. The next thing we have to do is do documentation, and we will save and load our configuration for convenience if we have to, for some reason, restore our configuration later on a new 4116. With the save and load function, you have the ability to either save and load locally on your smart device or save and load from a shared file system. If we select Save to Files, we will be presented with various options. On my iPad, I have a folder for configs. You can also see that I have OneDrive, Google Drive, and Dropbox connected here. For demonstration, we will save and load to our local file storage. And if you load, you can browse and see that now I have a config 6.preset today 8:53. That is what we have just saved here. I can load this configuration, and the result will be that there's no configuration made because the configuration is exactly the same as we do currently have on the 4116. So it will report no configuration changes made as expected. If you sync this configuration to your centralized data storage, one example could be OneDrive, then you might have access to that from your PC, and you will be able to open that from the PC software preset. From my desktop application, I have the option of importing the .csv file or the .preset file I have exported from PPS. There's two scenarios where you get CSV files or preset files exported from preset, either when you save and load your configuration or when you export, or so to speak, save your data logging. That is the same format, and for that reason we have to open for the demonstration purpose here, we have to open our data logging and import the preset file. The preset file I have from the previous configuration is now imported successfully, and I can go to configuration here to review my configuration. I can print it as a PDF. Very nice for documentation. Let's have a look at our data logging functionality. Here you can configure the intervals, longer logging time. You can enable and disable logging. So if I start logging here, then it will overwrite existing logging. Right now I have logging of my temperature going on. So let's have a look at the logged data. I have approximately 1 minute here from start to end. If you have a very large data set, I suggest you narrow down what you are looking at to speed up retrieval of log data. If you have a very large data set and you want to download this very large data set, it is recommended to use the preset application with the 4590 docking station called ConfigMate, and you will use that to retrieve data from the 4512's data logging memory. That is conveniently faster than downloading data via Bluetooth. But as you can see, smaller data sets, is actually quite fast. Here I have the graphical representation of the temperature and the relay status, and if any events happen during the time frame, I would also have event logs at the bottom here. You can export data for a preset, as I have previously talked about. It will generate a data log with the embedded configuration file in either CSV or .preset format. The data logging functionality is a very handy tool for documentation and troubleshooting. Troubleshooting intermittent issues with process values and as a backup for your primary data logging system. As we can see, there's a lot of features within PPS. Features that make you way more efficient working with PI Electronics 4000 and 9000 series devices. Let's summarize: easy configuration, simulation of process values, output values for troubleshooting and commissioning, save and load your configuration, data logging for troubleshooting, intermittent issues and documentation. I hope you enjoyed the presentation and find it useful. Do not hesitate to contact us if you need further information or have questions about our products. Thank you.